Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel startuplanes.com. I am More Tanvi, and as you know, these are the series of interviews that we are conducting for promotion of various startups. For today's interview, we have Mr. Prabir Mishra, the founder and CEO of Trayambhu Tech Solution Private Limited, an IIM, a alumni-rich 2+ decade experience across multiple industry segments and have successfully facilitated the role of MAs and experts. Investment banker, startup coach, business strategy board manager, and serial entrepreneur. He has rich experience working in various social enterprises, food and agriculture, life sciences, education, e-government, emerging technology, renewable energy, engineering, EPC, and software services. He has successfully created various startup value creation, transaction structure, and MAs across industry segments. Significant accomplishments include more than 30 M&A inbound and outbound transactions, along with successfully delivering more than 75 project funding from both debt and equity segments. He was associated with several key incubators and accelerators and facilitated various established startups. Most critical mentor role. His field of expertise lies in transaction structuring, financial model, and business valuation. Indeed, a very inspiring intro, right? So let's know more about his company and himself through Prabir Mishra.
So good evening, sir. I am More Tanvi from Startup Lanes, and we are very grateful to have you on the board for this interview.
Thank you, Tanvi. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, sir. So I would request you to please introduce yourself to our viewers.
So my name is Prabir Mishra, having more than 22 years of experience in various systems. I started my career in Standard Chartered Bank as an investment banker. All along my life, I am an investment banker, but for last 4 years specifically. Though I am an investment banker, I am also into the role of entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And this is my second startup. The first startup was specifically into investment banking business, where we used to do a lot of startup funding. Now, this is the technology startup which was started in 2019 specifically, but we are into business in 2020.
Great. So, sir, my very first question to you is that how did you come up with this idea of startup?
So, as I said, I'm an investment banker and very active in the funding in venture capital arena. During 2016, some people approached us for a ICO. ICO means this initial coin offering, and in Singapore. Mm-hmm. So we are, in fact, we three friends right now. We are the three founders. We are also exploring for some investment during that period, and we came across this technology, blockchain technology. Mm-hmm. So it generated interest. Then I started to explore from 2018 to 20 mid. I traveled across India, discussed with various state government, local authorities, land authorities, education bodies, banks, and understanding the pain points on the trust and authentication side. Mm-hmm. So Puru, Suraj, and I created the entity in 2019, but we started the operation at the peak of, in the pandemic 2020. Mm-hmm. So we talked to Veridoc, our technology partner in Australia. Mm-hmm. So they are a 80 years old, 95 country patented technology company. So we talked to them, then we collaborated with them, and we started the business in 2020 June.
Okay, great. So, sir, what are the difficult parts that you faced in the early stages of the journey?
So the early stages of the journey, most challenging part of that to have the understanding, to have the stakeholder understand our value proposition and our technical capable enough to solve their problem statement. So that was the very difficult task. Most people understand what a blockchain is. Mm-hmm. Previously, blockchain and crypto were being synonymous. Right now, which is not correct. Right now, people have tried to understand that, understood that. Now, as in any case of any new technology, blockchain is also its challenges of acceptance and more to say change is not always welcome. So change has to be gradual, and that's how the transformation happens. Yes, we are facing some same challenges on adopting a new change or a new technology.
Okay. Sir, I would like you to explain your business model.
So the business model is that, yes, we say that we are in the business of trust. So the approach is that approach through a technology platform, as we define as our core engine. We connect to our client through an API. They call it application program interface. We try to keep our system flexible, simple, adaptable, and easy to integrate. The entire system has got three cores. One is our platform, second is the blockchain protocols, third is the cloud. So we are spending heavily building these three core so that client onboarding will be easy and quick. We generally go on a SaaS model, software as a services. But again, we are open for any other model also. Yes, we want to be known as a kind of a tailor-made solution company. So we say our solutions are tailor-made, client-specific requirement, highly customizable, no capital upfront capex requirement for adopting our technology. So that's the uniqueness. So that's how our business model is.
So, sir, as you said that this is your second startup. So, did your friends and family help you while funding?
Yeah, they do help me. Initially, we raised money. We raised money around $500,000 through friends and family only. And yes, initially it was a big traction, and that's how we started. And we started with a big raising money, seed level money. Yes, they have helped me a lot.
So within a year, within a half a year, have you ever approached the investors?
We have been followed by a couple of investors. So right now we don't need money for the next, around one and a half year. But again, we have been approached of late. We have been approached by a lot of investors, and we have got a good traction right now, and the investor interest is also on the rise right now.
Sir, you started your business. You started your business in the pandemic. So, what are the other factors you see impacting your business in the coming years?
So keenness to any kind of, as I said you before, keenness to a newer technology adoption, be it a government or a private sector. There is a bit of a resistance when you ask for something new to get adopted. We are working on emerging technology, which has got more prevalence during this time or just after the pandemic. We call it new normal, Industry 4.0, or the newer adoption of digital transformation. Yes, we know that the change has to occur, and it is a slow and a phased manner. And those changes which occur in a phased manner, those are sustainable. So you could see a fundamental transformation after that. So that's how the business sentiment, all these things require a fundamental transformation process. So as the pandemic subsides, we see that there will be a faster adoption of emerging technology. And there is a lot of discussion in and around with the state government, central government. They've come up with blockchain policies 2021. So yes, things are going to be different in next couple of months, or maybe maximum in 1 year time.
Sir, as you mentioned right now that change is constant in the digital market. So I would like to know that are you planning to hire fresh talents in your business to overcome this challenge?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we do hire fresh talents. See, for us, we need the people who are kind of justify themselves and who thinks out of the box. So we are looking for those sort of candidates who can think something new, innovative. Yes, we are looking for new students. New recruitment, and in fact, we are in a hiring spree. We are looking for good talents out here.
Okay, so what are the traits? What are the qualities you are looking in the young talent?
We are looking for beyond studies or whatever they have got a qualification. They should know something new, and there should be something they call it a DIY. Do your own self and do some sort of experiment, or you think something beyond the normal capabilities. Think something out of box. So those are the third process we are looking. Yes, the normal skill set like Angular, Java, blockchain, and Hyperledger, those things are there. But beyond that, we have the core skill set. We look for those kind of crooked minds who can do some sort of innovation, some sort of out of box thinking. Those people we are looking for.
Okay, great. So my next question to you is that, as you said, this is your second business. So I would like to know that, according to you, what are the personality traits of a good leader?
See, a leader is who work with a team and motivate and guide and be on the same boat, steering in the problematic weather. So that's the character of a leader. So leader is nothing but a part of that whole. And but again, he is a guide, he is a mentor, he is a parent. So he's everything. So that's what I feel as a leader. So he's not to be differentiated amongst the mass, but again, he is the person who lead the team, who guide the team, who run with the team, and also who steer the team.
Yeah. So if you're talking about leadership, I would like to know that what are the good parts and what are the bad parts of being a CEO?
See, for the CEO, a perfect analogy of a driver. So a driver who is a responsibility to make the journey enjoyable, right? So startup is a journey. Startup is not a destination. So more than a destination, startup is a journey now. So as a CEO, that matters. Journey matters the most. How pleasurable, how comfortable, how much accident-free, how much adventurous the existing journey is. Then you can create a lot of interest and enthusiasm from the clients, from the business, from the investor, and from your existing people. So these are the good parts when you are driving a vehicle. You know what is going to come, where is the turns, what is the speed you have to govern. Simultaneously, you need to maintain the speed, pace, and interest of all the people and reach the destination safe and sound during time. The worst part of the CEO is keeping everyone happy and to match with everyone's expectation. So that's the journey. So not every time all people are happy. So that's the worst part of the CEO.
Beautiful comparison between a driver and a CEO, sir. Great. So moving forward, my next question is that describe a moment you have to make tough decisions, for example, budget cuts or organizational restructuring, etc.
Yeah, there are some challenges, but again, the good thing is that my board is very much comfortable with me. They've handed over me the complete responsibility to steer the vehicle, steer the startup. So till now, I have not faced that sort of challenges as of now. But again, when I foresee that there could be a hurdle or there could be a tough decision, I take a proper, discussion. I discuss with my board prior and I give my views, take their views, then particularly frame my opinion on a particular matter. That's how we have been doing. So till now, I have not faced such a challenges. Maybe fortunately, I've got a good founders and good board. That's how we are working very smoothly as of now. It's worked on a kind of all consensus mechanism. Everybody agree into a point, then only we move. And if there is certain differences, we try to bridge those differences.
So, sir, as you mentioned that you are a fresh startup, so I would like to know that are you planning to hire any vendors to simplify any part of your business?
Yeah, right now we have not looked into that, but again, yes, on the IT side, we are tying up with some of the cloud service provider. We are taking the help of some HR people for our recruitment process. Yes, on a longer run, we need to depend on that. But yes, we are depending on certain travel agency. So slowly we are getting into that. Yes, we have not grown up to that sort of a level where we'll be looking for a bigger vendor relationship. But again, slowly we have started, and that will be obviously part and parcel of it.
So, sir, lastly, I would like to ask you that what are your recent and long-term plans for your business?
So, recent plan is that we have made our core engine already ready. Our products are ready. Our immediate plan is for multiple client onboarding and showcase our capabilities. That's our first immediate plan. The long-term plan is to be in the complete ecosystem of the technology dominance. What we feel right now, we have three things which are primary important. One is the platform technology, second is the blockchain protocols, multiple protocols or the multi-chain. Third thing is the cloud infrastructure. Right now, we are more visible on the platform side. Blockchain, we are developing our own capabilities on the blockchain. Also, we are discussing with Verida for multi-chain capabilities.
Mhm.
So that's how it is going to be. Yes, as we grow more and as we are progressing day by day, we have got a more clarity and we are shaping our future. For us, the future is now. That's how we say that.
Mhm.
We are on the race.
Hope for the same, sir. Sir, lastly,
So the thing is that what I want to say, what are the gaps? What you need to identify in the market if you want to do a startup. See, the better way, what we understand that the gap is that when we define our startup is trust deficiency, transparency, lacking of transparency and traceability. I'm specifically talking to my startup. So with that core as a theme, we want to start something. But again, when you want something fresh, you go and approach your clientele. They say that this may not be adaptable to us because anybody resists for the change. So you should have some sort of a model without that bigger change on the legacy system, whether your system can adapt. So that's how the things should work. See, the thing is that yes, I know. Take the example of Swiggy. So the hotels were there, restaurants were there, but Swiggy give you a convenient. So it's not replacing those hotels or giving you a better food. From the existing ecosystem, you are deriving something and onboarding and giving a client a convenience. We want to work on a similar model. The existing ERP system or existing legacy systems are there. Over and above, if my system can provide a better value proposition for my client. So let's say I am working for a bank. Okay. Now with my system, if the customer of those banks can get a better sense of safety and security and their transaction is safe, their money is safe, then that's the value addition for the bank. And that's the value addition for the bank. So for a consumer product, for a food packet or for a seed packet, if the consumer knows that whatever the seed and the food what he is eating, he has got right to know the source, and my technology is going to offer that sort of a convenience, saying that okay, this is that food where it is being sourced and what it's been processed and how freshness index of that food and whatever you are eating, that is good. In our daily life also, we have to like to ask the correctness of a document, the land record. We are buying a house or we are buying some land, correctness of the document, and there should be some sort of a quickest way. So if my system my system is giving that sort of a transparency. The moment somebody scans a blockchain-enabled QR code, he got to know that his land is not at all a dispute. Not that he pay the buyer or pay the seller the complete amount, and ultimately he realized that the document is fake. Beforehand, before doing the transaction, there should be a simplified way to verify those documents, and my technology is giving that sort of a convenience. So here, this is the way to use the emerging technology, and in the daily life, and make it convenient and make it sound, and that's how it should work. So what is the basis of that? You do something which is saving the future herself in now by using a simplified technology, which what we are trying to solve.
great. Sounds great, sir. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and your crucial words. And hope that your long-term plans get succeeded. And yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.